Hey YouTube, it's Elvis Ammo here. Hey, today what we're going to do is we're going to make some 223 rounds. I'd made up some, and I thought that I've had some questions about, do you have a decent recipe for 223? And I have a video, of me making 223 with the Accurate Arms 2015. But this has really been my latest, greatest favorite powder, really go-to powder to use. This Winchester 748. It's a ball powder. It meters well through your powder measures, and it's one of the reasons I'm giving this to you, telling you about this Winchester 748, is because it's a little more versatile. And a lot of we're talking about cast bullets here. My powder coated 55 grain lead bullet. A lot of you know that loading these cast bullets in they're kind of finicky. Well, using this powder, I've found that it's a little less finicky. Okay, it gives you a little broader range. I've set these up to really fly at about 2,500 feet per second. Okay, that was really my goal. I just wanted a 2,500 feet per second 223 round for practice. That was my goal. So I really didn't try to go over that to see if I could do better than that. I believe it might. I believe it may function and fly straight. Going. Certainly I know they fly straight going slower than that. I've run them at 2,300 feet per second, and they perform very well. And that's why I'm saying that this powder is a little more versatile. I get the function. And the group, the function of my rifle and the group that I'm looking for with this powder very easily compared to other powders. So anyway, I was going to let you this is just going to be a short video. Well, I want you to see how I make these. I know that's what you want. You want to see, well, how do you make the 223? And man, you're talking about a more versatile powder, and I know you like that. I know I do. So let's just see how I do it. I have my powder measure here set up. I put Winchester 748 and on here, so I know what powder I'm running through my powder measure. And so what I'll do is what I'm shooting for here is 23 grains. All right. If I set it for 22.9 and it gives me 23, in other words, I usually I want it at 23, pretty much. So 22.9, 23. That's where this round runs, okay, that I'm shooting. So I'm just trying to give you exactly what I'm shooting here. So when you see me shoot it, you'll say, okay, it's 22.9 or 23 is where he likes it. Alright, and most of you know exactly what I'm saying. So I'm just going to check and see what I have here. Nope, that one give me 22.9, and I'll check another one here. I just loaded some a little while ago, and I thought, well, you guys might want to see this, and I'm getting questions about it. So let's see. I'm just going to run some here, and just so that, because I'd move this around just like you see me. Anytime you move these powder measures around, you want to make sure that you're dropping the same thing consistently. So, alright, I'm going to check this next one. I just want to make sure I don't have anything in there. So here we go. Alright. Alright, that one come up 23. We're good. I can live with that. Alright. So here we go. And you'll I just checked my seating die there, and that's why I'm missing 2. So we're just going to go ahead and charge these up at, we're just going to call it 23. Like I said, I usually set it at about 22.9, and if I get 23, I'm good with it. Just so you'll know what I'm running here. But like I said, I have not gone beyond the 2,500 feet per second. So I don't know for sure if it'll run really nice, you know, a little bit above that. And here we go. Alright, those are all charged up, and I am going to use my flashlight. And I always double check these, everybody knows that. Just make sure everything looks consistent. Okay, it looks good. I'm happy. Look down in here and make sure everything's consistent. Okay, so now you want to know, well, we're using, like I said, the Lee 55 grain cast lead powder coated blue bullet. So there we go. We'll just set, I must have a booger on this one. Yep. Set our bullets on here, and we're going to seat these, and then we're going to shoot them. I'm going to shoot them over the chronograph, and you'll get to see what the bullet's doing, and then you'll get to see what a group of these looks like on paper. But I really like this Winchester 748. It's a good powder. And you don't really hear a lot about it. And another thing that's a little bit unusual about using this powder, or it was for me, even trying it, you know, I wasn't sure why I would, what to expect, you know, when I tried this powder originally for cast lead bullets, because this powder on the burn rate chart is up around where Varget is on the burn rate. I can't remember exactly for sure, but you guys can look. But it may be a little slower burning powder than even Varget. So it's a little unusual that you find a very slow burning powder for cast lead that works this well for a cast lead bullet. So, but you know, things are obviously changing quite a bit with powder coated bullets. So there's a lot for us to learn. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and seat these. And I know what you want to know. It's like, what are you going to seat them at? Well, let's see. Can you see that? 2.104. Alright, well, my target is 2.100. Alright, but 2.104 is fine and dandy. So we're going to stay right there. And I know that this thing is consistent, so I don't have to measure these over and over again. We're just going to be 2.100 with 22.9 or 23 grains of Winchester 748. Our target for feet per second is 2,500 feet per second. All right, and I know that you know, I've tested this load a couple of times in the past, and I've got, you know, 2470 before, and it just depends on how my powder measure is dropping that day. But I don't really get too hung up on that as long as they're consistent. Okay, when I say how my powder measure is dropping that day, I really mean, you know, I unload it and load it back up and move it around, and, you know, maybe readjust it and try to adjust it back. That's what I mean. I don't mean it's going to be inconsistent between setting it and forgetting it and then using it again. So there we go. We got all these seated at 2.100, and I know we'll pull out a couple in here, and you're like, hey, what? No, 2.100. I'm just gonna grab a couple of these. Okay, 2.103.5. That's very close to what you seen the last time. I'm just randomly grabbing some. Okay, there's one. 2.100. That was my target. And I don't know which one I done the last time. That must have been the same one. 2.104. We'll just grab one out of the middle here. 2.104.5. I mean, you know, good enough for government work. Now here we go. We're going to put our now this was all prep brass, prepped and trimmed. I'd already primed them, so really the only thing I had left to do is put some powder in there, and then we're going to run this crimp die, the Lee crimp die on here, and we're going to put a crimp on these. Let's see where I got that set. Okay, I don't. I was using this in another press, and now I have to reset it. I know where I like it. I don't like to call it touching when I crimp these. I don't like putting that much of a crimp on it. When I say that much of a crimp, they need to have a decent crimp on them, you know, but you don't want the collet to close completely on it. That's too much of a crimp on this die, and I can see that it's giving me, you know, a pretty decent. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on there. This one right here didn't show up as good. Let's see. I'll show you, just so you'll know what kind of crimp I'm putting on here. Now the collets are not closing all the way together on this die, but I'll see. I don't know if you could tell. Just look at that edge right there. If you could see what kind of crimp I have on there. Right there. Alright. That was about the best I could come up with to show you there, but that thing is adjusted where I want it. I just hold it down for a second, you know, at the bottom, and let that thing form a crimp, and it goes pretty quick. But I got a feeling that that this is kind of something long overdue, and a lot of people are interested in this. A lot of people shoot 223 and they're aggravated. They don't seem to ever be satisfied, you know, with a good a good shooting round. Either is you know, too slow for them, and they don't see the relevance of shooting a 223 at that speed. But I would say that at 2,500 feet per second, that's a serious load, especially for a practice load, and this could transition from a practice load to anything you want to use it for. But you have to work up your loads, and you have to find out what's accurate in your rifle. I'm going to be shooting this. I'm going to be shooting this out of a 16-inch barrel, and it's a 1 1/8 twist. All right, and that's really the only significance that you probably want to know about. I'll be using a Nikon P223 optic, and that's it. So now all we need to do is shoot this thing, but that's 22.9 or 23 grains of Winchester 748. That's a slow burning powder in the burn rate of around Varget somewhere. So using, you know, cast bullets. So let's see how this thing shoots. We'll shoot it over the chronograph, and then we'll just shoot a little group, and you can be the judge. Alright, let's put one over the chrono here and just see what kind of speed we got. .2494. Alright, we'll just go with that, and now we'll go ahead and put a group on the target here. Let me move you. Alright, see what kind of group we can get. Let's take a look at that. Alright, so there's our target right there, and you can see I got two touching right here, and these the paper broke where these two almost touched right here, and I'm not sure if that was me or the rifle. I'd rather blame the rifle if I had a choice. But I'm sure that was me. But anyway, you know what it is. You'll be the judge of that. You know, I was just so you'll have a perspective. You know, that was from, you know, about 30-yard shot, and I think I was aiming kind of center point right there. So 2 inches low at 30 yards, I'd say that's exactly what you want. I like to shoot a little low myself, personally. That's just if I have a choice to sight my rifle in, I want it a little bit low. I know a lot of you probably feel the same way, but anyway, there you go. I mean, I'd say that's a pretty good group. I know that wasn't a detailed experiment, but I really just wanted you to see that this is a powder that you can really work with, and You know, a lot of people have a hard time, you know, picking something because, I mean, clearly, let's just face it, you know, who's got time and money to just buy a bunch of different powders, you know, constantly using them and testing them, and the time to do all that. You know, there's a million combinations. Anyway, Winchester 748. Who would have known that that would make a good cash bullet load because of the burn rate. Now, another thing I wanted to show you real quick is I didn't realize it, but I had an extra bullet in there that I loaded and it chambered, and I thought I would use that as an opportunity, because a lot of you have questions like, you know, will the bullet you know, do you have any feed issues? Well, I wanted you to see this bullet up close, and those of you that are concerned will be interested in looking at this bullet. This was the bullet, what it looked like feeding over your M4 feed ramps. Alright, so you know, whatever damage to the bullet, that's really what you're looking for. You know what? Now, I did, however, wipe the soot off the bullet. Okay, it had a little bit of soot on it, you know, from being the next in line, you know, feeding up through the magazine and the carbon. So I will tell you that I just wiped it off just so you could see. There was barely, you could see that because this is a concern for people. You can see there's barely a scratch. You can tell it went through the feed ramp. And that is just a red booger from powder coating. But you can see just a scratch right there. Maybe. Anyway, I really tried to show you. You can see the nose of the bullet. I really wanted you to try to see that. You know, is there any damage as it's feeding? Because, you know, you'll have that if you don't get this just right. You know, maybe the type of bullet that you use, or the overall length, you know, the length of the bullet, you know, it'll affect, you know, whether it gets scraped all the mess out of, you know, as it's feeding through. But these, you know, there was no special springs on my rifle, nothing, you know, it functions, and obviously, you know, at 23 grains, it's going to function just fine. But there you go, YouTube. Just a wonderful ball powder to try out, and there's a little more leeway with this one. Just throwing that out there. YouTube, have a happy Labor Day. God bless.